So let's talk about the different kinds of insurance. And this is not a substitute for you going and talking to your insurance agent. I want you to go talk to your insurance agent about this. But I want you to know that there are different kinds of insurance, and these are just 4 of them that I've listed here. And these are the 4 most common kinds, but there are different kinds, and some of them do come into play for special kinds of businesses. But the one that everyone typically knows about is liability insurance. Imagine that someone slips and falls, like I just said in the previous part, and they injure themselves. Well, liability insurance steps in. And this does tend to be a little different than workers' comp insurance, but it works on the same premise. Usually someone who's not an employee injures themselves, and the insurance takes care of that liability. You will sometimes hear 2 numbers quoted, and I'm not an insurance expert, so talk to your insurance agent about this, but they'll say something like 1 million/2 million. And what that means is 1 million per person and $2 million per incident, or something along those lines. And so that means that if there's, a big problem and several people are hurt, then no individual's claim can exceed $1 million, and the total claims overall cannot exceed $2 million. Those numbers vary depending on the kind of risk you're taking. Obviously, bigger numbers are going to cost more expensive, but please talk to your insurance agent and ask them what numbers you need, because you don't want to fall short. If you have a $2 million claim against you and you only have $500,000 insurance, then you might have to cover the rest out of pocket, and that could ruin your business. So have the right insurance and the right kind of liability protection. You also have vehicle insurance, and this is just like you have on your personal car. You want to make sure that your vehicles have the right kind of insurance. If you do any kind of shipping or trucking, this is probably going to be extremely important to your business. And I want you to make sure that your agent is not cutting corners and tricking the system. I see this happen with truckers. They do cross-country drives. They're going all over the place, and their insurance agent tells them, oh, just get insurance for these 5 states. Use caution. Problems where freight gets lost, a truck tips over on the highway or something like that. These are extremely common court cases. You want to make sure that wherever your vehicles are going and doing business, that they have the right kind of insurance. So please make sure that you've got the right kind of vehicle insurance for your people. Also, I want you to know, and this is a question that you need to ask your agent. That's the only way you're going to know. But I want you to know what happens if one of your employees gets into an accident under various situations. What happens if they're on the job? What happens if they're working but they're not on their normal route? What happens if they're off the clock and they get into an accident? So make sure that you know what happens in those situations. The third kind of insurance is called E&O, and that stands for errors and omissions. Errors and omissions usually steps in when you as a professional should have done something a certain way and it didn't happen that way. Lawyers like myself, doctors, dentists, we have E&O insurance, but we call it malpractice insurance. Basically the same thing. Architects, engineers, they have E&O insurance. Some types of construction industry workers, they have E&O insurance. So what I want you to do is talk to your insurance agent to see if they offer E&O and if they suggest it for your business. Basically, here's one of the things that I want to think about if I'm going to consider E&O insurance. If I make an error as someone is providing a product or service for you, and are you going to lose something major? So for example, if I am fixing your truck, if I'm a mechanic and I'm fixing your truck, and then the truck driver is driving and then it breaks down on the side of the road because of my error, and that trucker loses $100,000 because of it. Am I responsible? So those are the kinds of things you want to talk to your insurance agent, and they'll help you understand if E&O insurance is good for you. Now, you'll see that I've represented each of these kinds of insurance as a little umbrella. So there's an umbrella over the person who's slipping and falling. That's your liability insurance. There's an umbrella over the truck. That's your vehicle insurance. And there's an umbrella over your little error guy. That's your E&O insurance. But then there's this big umbrella that covers everything, because if you'll notice, between each of those umbrellas, there's little gaps, and sometimes things slip through. An umbrella policy tends to be a pretty affordable and inexpensive option, and it covers over the whole business, and fills in the gaps. And so talk to your insurance agent if an umbrella policy is right for you, because it can be a very affordable option. The prices keep changing, so I won't quote prices in this that I've heard recently, but it was very cheap to get a $2 million umbrella policy when I looked into it a little while back.